What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Stefan. I'm coming to you from the General Warfare headquarters. I'm glad you can join us here today. This is the first video back for me after a month. I've already made a post of it before, but I've deleted it since. But to give you a synopsis of it, I was under burnout for the last month, and I've decided to take a small break from YouTube just to collect my bearings and just to get back on track. So we're back here with a brand new video, and as you can tell the title, it is spoiler season finally for New Capenna. I'm recording this video on Thursday the 7th of April, so we have just gotten a flurry of first spoilers for New Capenna. I'm not going to be going over every single card that they've announced. I'm just going to go over all the legendary cards that they have. So this includes planeswalkers and legendary creatures, so ultimately commander options. Without further ado, let's get into the video and let's take a look at some of these spoilers with us today. So the first up we have is Vivian of the Hunt. This is a 4 loyalty planeswalker for 4 green. The +2 is you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So first ability is basically Birthing Pod. It's a +1. Underneath that is mill 5 cards and then put any number of creature cards milled this way into your hand. Actually, that's not too bad. And then the -1 is -1 is create a 4/4 green Rhino Warrior creature token. Okay. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. That +2, that Birthing Pod ability is nuts. So ultimately what you can do with Vivian is that you can basically just drop Vivian +2 them and then Birthing Pod out a bigger creature. Either that, or you just get, if you don't have creatures on the field, you can always +1 and mill 5 cards to put any creatures that you milled that way to your hand. And ultimately, if you don't really find anything, I mean, sorry for your loss, but you also have the ability to option to -1 Vivian for a Rhino Warrior. I really wish Vivian had an ultimate, and even at that, like, I wish the Rhino Warriors had some kind of ability, because -1 for a 4/4 Rhino is okay. I just wish it would have had, like, well, it's green too, so it should have a flurry of abilities available for it. Like Trample is one, Vigilance could be another one. What's another good green ability? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you get my point. Basically, I just wish. I guess in my case, I wish this was a little bit better in terms of an ultimate, but this is not bad because you still have a Birthing Pod effect on a planeswalker. So moving forward, our next one is another legendary planeswalker, Obnyxless the Adversary. So a 3 loyalty planeswalker for 1 black and red, so 1 and Rakdos for a legendary Nyxless. Cool. And it has casualty X. The copy isn't legendary and has starting loyalty X. So you can cast the spell. As you cast the spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power X. If you do copy the spell, the copy becomes a token. Interesting. Okay, so you could basically have 2 Obnyxlesses come out. That's pretty cool. It's +1 is each opponent loses 2 life unless they discard a card. If you control a demon or devil, you gain 2 life. Cool. -2 is create a 1/1 red devil creature token with whenever this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. That's not too bad. And its -7 is target player draws 7 cards and loses 7 life. So right at the bottom, its ultimate is basically Gristlebrand. Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, so basically it's discard for your opponents and a potential life gain as long as as you have a demon or devil on your side. And then it's token generation for its -2, and its -7 is draw 7 cards. So getting a copy of this and having 2 planeswalkers that can actually simultaneously use the same abilities, pretty damn good. Not gonna lie. So ultimately, if you have both, I'm assuming if you're playing this card, it's gonna be either a sacrifice deck or you're doing shenanigans with tokens. Ultimately, but basically you can have your opponent's discard a card, you can create a devil, or you Gristlebrand, draw 7 cards and lose 7 life. Okay, I understand this card. Would I play this card? Possibly not. I'm just saying for myself, but like, the ability to copy the Obnyxless is cool. I just don't value the main 2 abilities. The last ability, its ultimate, is really funny. Drawing 7 and losing 7 is cool, but the other first 2 are just feels like dead in the water. Like you're doing practically nothing with it. So next up, we're looking at Erbrask, Heretic Praetor. This is the third Praetor we're looking at since New Phyrexia. So in our before this, we've seen Vorinclex in its new form from Kaldheim. We've seen Jin Gataxias last set, I believe. And now we're seeing Erbrask. So it's a matter of time before we see Shieldred and Elishnorn. So let's get into this. So it's a 4/4 for 3 red legendary Phyrexian Praetor with haste. Okay, they've retained the haste ability on this. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn, and at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the next time they would draw a card this turn, instead they exile the top card of their library. They may play it this turn. I feel bad. This could have been so cool, so funny. You just exile the card forever and then you could have played it. Erbrask, they do you dirty, my dude. Anyways, so first off, 4/4 for 5 that has haste, pretty solid stats, and it's extra card advantage since you're exiling the top card of your library at your upkeep, and then you can play the card throughout the rest of your turn. I just wish they reworded or errated the second part of that. The second ability is that where your opponents just mill or they just exile the top card of their library. It would have been so much better. Or if it was just that, like add one extra colorless and have you be able to play the cards they exile with any either play it or play it and pay any mana pay any mana to play it or whatever, something around the lines of that. But I wish they didn't do Erbrask dirty. That's disappointing. Anyways, next up, we're looking at our third Planeswalker. It's Elspeth Resplendent. So, a 5 loyalty Planeswalker for 3 white legendary Elspeth. +1 is choose up to 1 target creature, put a +1/+1 counter, and a counter from among flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance on it. Okay, so extra keywords. Its -3 is look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield with a shield counter on it. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So shield counters are a thing in New Capenna. So from my understanding of shield counters is if it's targeted or if it's destroyed or something like that, it's you just remove the shield counter instead. So it's almost like totem armor. Or pseudo totem armor. And its -7 is create 5/3/3 white angel creature tokens with flying. I'm gonna just zoom in just to make sure it's 3/3. 3/3. Okay. Well, that's also a bit of a letdown. I wish they were 4/4s, but yeah. So, okay. So it starts off as a 5 loyalty, and then obviously your +1 would probably be targeting a creature you control, giving a +1/+1 counter and a keyword as well, which is actually not bad because it has some pretty damn good abilities to choose from. First strike, flying, lifelink, and vigilance. So. Its -3 is kind of interesting if you're going for a lower mana curve deck, but I don't know. It could be iffy because you're looking at the top 7 is actually not too bad, and it's a permanent with mana value 3 or less. So you can I think you could put lands on here. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure you could put lands from among them onto the field with Elspeth's ability. And then the -7, I just wish it was 5 5/5s or 5 4/4s angels with flying. It would have been so much better in my personal opinion, but I mean, given with that 5/3/3 angels is still really good. Because easily within white, you can pump them up. White has a hell of a lot of Anthem effects. And easily can stack with the amount that you're putting on the field, and especially with the amount of creatures you have on the field itself. Alrighty, so next up is Kit Kanto Mayhem Diva. Kit Kanto is a 3/3 for 1 red, green, and white, so 1 and Naya for a legendary Cat Bard Druid. And when Kit Kanto enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. At the beginning of combat on each player's turn, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. When you do, target creature that player controls gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Go to that creature. Okay, I think I found my favorite political card from this set already. So Kit Kanto comes into play. This is definitely a go wide deck, it seems like. So Anytime Kanto enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 green and white citizen. And given the fact it's in white, you have access to blink effects. So you can even blink Kanto if you really want to get multiple citizens on the field. It's just funnier. The second ability is probably the best out of all of them. Beginning of combat on each player's turn, you can tap 2 untap creatures, go to creature, give it +2/+2 and trample. That is amazing. And I love this card. I want to let this up to you. I'm laying down the gauntlet right now. In the comments down below for the next video to come out, I want you guys to submit in the comments down below who your favorite commander who your favorite commander spoiler from the set is, and I'll do a Brewing for 50 bucks episode on the launch day with the commander that gets the most votes. So have at it. But in the meantime, Kanto, very, very much approved. So next up we're looking at is Hensy Toolbox Tour. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we're going with it anyways. A 3/3 for Jund, so green, red, and black, red, and green. Legendary Devil Rogue. Each creature spell you cast with mana value 4 or greater has Blitz. The Blitz cost is equal to its mana cost, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here to read this a bit better. You may choose to cast that spell for its Blitz cost. If you do, it gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. And then Blitz costs you pay costs 1 less for each time you cast your commander from the command zone this game. Oh. Wait. Blitz costs you pay costs 1 less for each time you cast your commander from... Okay, this is spicy. This is definitely spicy. So Hensy basically allows you to lower the amount, reduce the cost of your creatures for their Blitz cost, which is kind of interesting. So as many times as Hensy has come into the battlefield, you can reduce the Blitz cost for your creatures like that. So I guess you're going big creature stompy with this. It seems like, at least with power 4 or greater, and yeah, this seems really good actually. So you're getting Blitz costs, and then so with that, I guess you paid for its Blitz costs, attack, sacrifice at the end of turn to draw an extra card. You're going Stompy and Recursion with this, it seems like. So I think this is a really fun card. If you guys want me to brew this for the video that's going to come out on new Capenna release day, let me know in the comments. Like I said before, most votes for the commander that you guys like the most will be showcased on the channel as a Brewing for 50 bucks episode. Next up is Jaxus the Troublemaker. So it's a 2/3 for 3 and a red, legendary human warrior with red and tap it, discard a card, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step, activated only as a sorcery, and you have Blitz 1 and a red. Question for all the judges or whoever's watching this: how does Blitz costs work in the command zone? I just want to know from you guys, because I don't. Can you cast it for its Blitz cost, or does the commander tax stack along with the Blitz cost as well? I'm thinking it stacks with the Blitz cost, but I want you guys to let me know. Other than that, I mean, creating tokens is great and all. I just don't really like this as a standalone commander. Mono red has a lot of interesting creatures and a lot of big creatures altogether, but I don't know if Jaxus on its own can really stand up to the rest of these commanders. Anyways, you let me know in the comments down below, but this is probably Jaxus would definitely be a 99 card for me. If I'd build any deck and how Jaxus with it, it's definitely going to the 99. All right, so the next up we're going to be looking at is Ziatora the Incinerator, which I love the name already. A 6/6 for a 3 black, red, and green, so 3 in Jund for a legendary demon dragon with flying, and at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Ziatora the Incinerator deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target, and you create 3 treasure tokens. Oh my god, this is amazing. So this is also a fun sacrifice deck. I think this is not in comparison to Corvold. where you get, I think you get +1/+1 counters off it, but this would be really fun in either way with either commander. I would personally think that Ziatora, you're basically just populating your field with as many tokens and trying to boost them up as big as you can. And I would think Ziatora, you're basically loading a cannon and shooting it at your opponents. Or any target. So it could be opponents, planeswalkers, or creatures. And then you getting 3 extra mana on top of it is really, really nice. So you get to stack those tokens and you get to profit off it every time, for every end step that you shoot a creature at your opponents. Next up is Angelo the Painter. So Angelo is a 1/3 for blue, black, and red. So Grixis for a legendary vampire assassin with death touch, and the first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn has casualty 2. Maximize this. As you cast that spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 2 or greater. When you do, copy the spell and you may choose new targets for it. Okay, interesting. Interesting. So, how do I compile this? This is an interesting Grixis deck. Because one, it has defense with death touch. Second, and your instances of sorceries, each turn have casualty 2. So you could also be making tokens with this. They have causality. You could be playing some massive spells and profiting off it by sacrificing creatures and copying them. I don't think they stack whenever you're sacrificing creatures, but I'm pretty sure it's like you only get 2 copies, but basically copy decks are a big part of the meta, and I think Angelo is a really interesting addition to that meta as well. Especially with that death touch, I find some good spice of this pizza. Next up, we're looking at is Kamiz Obscura Oculus. A 2/4 for 1 white, blue, and black, so 1 an Esper. Legendary Cephalid Rogue. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn. It connives, and then you choose another attacking creature with lesser power. That creature gains double strike until end of turn. So to have a creature connive, draw a card and then discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Okay, so this is a Esper deck that is not completely that doesn't completely rely on what's the word I'm looking for? Dicking over everybody. Okay, this is interesting enough. What can I say? Kamiz, I think this is an interesting take for an Esper deck, because mostly Esper is just mainly control and mainly wants you to mess around with your opponents. But in this case, this feels like it's all about combat, which is kind of interesting. And you could go wide with tokens, or you can have. Well, I guess, yeah, you have to have 2 tokens for Kamiz. You can't really do Voltron, it doesn't look like. I guess you can do Voltron, but it's not going to be great. But I don't know. I'm of 2 minds about this. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think of Kamiz in the comments. Next up is Perry the Pulverizer. A 3/3 for 1 blue, green, and white, so 1 and Bant. Legendary Rhino Soldier with when Perry enters the battlefield, put a shield counter on target creature. Okay, here we go with the shield counters. So if it would be dealt damage or destroyed, remove a shield counter from it instead. Okay, so it is beyond totem armor, so it's whenever it's dealt damage as well. Interesting. So basically, you can just lightning bolt it. It takes off the shield counter, and then you can just doomblade it. Interesting. Okay. So aside from that, whenever Perry attacks, target creature you control gains trample, and it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of different kinds of counters among permanents you control. I feel like with Perry, you're gonna have to stack up on a lot of different counters, whether it be vigilance counters, +1/+1, -1/-1, any kind of counter you can. You have to stack up with it to get a higher number with Perry to provide your other creature. Or a target creature. You can even target itself. Interesting. It can even target itself, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so what I would probably recommend for this kind of deck would probably be some of those the cycle creatures, like from Ikoria. So you can basically just use some of the discard creatures from Ikoria, or discard or cycle cards that provide different counters like Hexproof, Vigilance, Indestructible, and all of that. put it on parry or any other creature, and then with all those counters, it'll just boost up parry as big as it possibly can for a giant outright strike against your opponents. Plus, the fact to give it trample is also a big thing too. The only thing I'm wondering in this set is, are there ways to stack shield counters or proliferate on shield counters? I guess if you're running this in like an Atraxa deck where you proliferate, I guess you could do that. Next up is Falco Spara Pact Weaver, a 3/3 for 1 and Bant, 1 green, white, and blue legendary bird demon. I think is that a new typing combination? So anyways, legendary bird demon with flying and trample. Falco Spara Pact Weaver enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you can cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature you control, in addition to paying their other costs. Okay. So this is another cool thing that would synergize well with parry, where you're basically going to be adding value to Falco Spara when you put counters on things. So even still, if you're putting -1/-1 counters on creatures, you can basically just remove the -1/-1 counters, like Devoted Druid, for example. I know it's a really good card and it's really good and like competitive, but -1, you can just remove the -1/-1 counter to cast something from the top of your library. That's really good and gives you an extra card to play and extra advantage over your opponents. Interesting to say the least. Next up is Rafine Scheming Seer. This is one of the first new Capenna commanders that we've seen come out from a little while ago, but I'll reread what Rafine does. So Rafine is a 1/4 for white, blue, and black, so basically just Esper, for a legendary Sphinx Demon with flying and ward 1. And whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Okay, so draw X cards and discard X cards, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature for each non-land card discarded this way. Okay, it looks like Esper is basically trying to go wide in this set, so I think this is a divulgence of what Esper usually does. Rafine seems interesting, and I'm wondering if I don't know if Sphinx Tribal would really work in this case. I feel like with the amount of support white has with making creatures and the amount of removal you get in white and black and even counter spells in blue, this is going to be a really fun deck to play with, and probably an annoying deck to play against, especially when you're going wide with Rafine and the amount of +1/+1 counters you're putting on those creatures. The second to last up is Lord Xander the Collector. So everybody already knows what this commander does because it's been spoiled for a little while now, but I'll reread them just to give you guys a refresher. A 6/6 for 4 and Grixis, 4 blue, black, and red, legendary vampire demon noble. When Lord Xander the Collector enters the battlefield, target opponent discards half the cards in their hand rounded down. Whenever Lord Xander attacks, defending player mills half their library rounded down. And whenever Lord Xander dies, target opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they could control rounded down. This is just evil. This is just an evil card, straight up. It's in evil colors, and it's just an evil card. No, but in all seriousness, this card is very brutal against anybody who's playing against it. So, at 1v1, this is just nasty, first and foremost, especially if you get to 7 mana to cast Lord Xander, and if you have Lightning Greaves or something to give it haste, you're milling half your deck and discarding half the cards in your hand. That's just brutal. And this is just a word I don't like saying a lot, but brutal for whoever you're playing against. And then when it dies, target opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they control rounded down. So this is just unforgiving against other decks. And I'm just curious to see how he plays in a 4-player meta. So if you already built Lord Xander, let me know in the comments, or just supply some deck lists, because I'm curious to see what kind of decks you build around with Lord Xander. And the last card we're going to be looking at today as part of the legendary creatures and legendary cards from New Capenna is Jetmir, Nexus of Revels. A 5/4 for 1 and Naya, 1 red, green, and white. Legendary cat demon. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have vigilance as long as you control 3 or more creatures. Creatures you control also gets +1/+0 and trample as long as you control 6 or more creatures. And creatures you control also get +1/+0 and have double strike as long as you control 9 or more creatures. So obviously with Naya, Naya is a very go wide, good set of go wide colors, because a lot of the cards in Naya require you to have creatures with power 4 or greater, or they have the ability to create some tokens with them. So Jetmir really very much wants creatures on the field. So in the event of you having 3 or more, you're getting vigilance on all your creatures. 6 or more, you're getting trample, and 9 or more is double strike. Those are some strong abilities first and foremost. Vigilance is good because you don't have to tap your creatures. Trample, you can just go through your opponent's creature defenses, and double strike is just beating your opponent in the face with a bunch of things. God, I can only imagine what Avenger of Zendikar with like 8 or more lands would be like. I think that would just be game ending, and especially so like Jetmir himself, I think counts as part of this too. So he'll count himself. So it'd probably just say like if you control 2 or more other creatures, 5 or more other creatures, and 8 or more other creatures. Really interesting stuff, but we'll have to wait and see when New Capenna comes out, how the meta will shift with the new commanders in its place. And that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is going to be a bit of a shorter video today, and I just wanted to touch up on some of the predictions for, or some of the first initial spoilers for New Capenna. But this set looks very promising, and I look forward to seeing what the rest of the spoiler season and the rest of the set looks like, ultimately. Some of the cards in here, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't a big fan with some of them. But the ones that really caught my attention, And even so, like, this is just day 1. I'm recording this, like I said, on the Thursday, the first Thursday of April. So we still have an entire week of spoiler season to go through. And until then, we have these to look forward to. And, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what the rest of the set looks like. So I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell icon, because that's the only way you're going to be notified of any future video that comes out. And if you're not new here, if you're not new to the channel, or if you're already subscribed, or even if you just want to in general, just give this video a thumbs up, because that way you're going to be giving more props to this, and basically you're going to be helping with the algorithm in here. Please comment down below as well. That helps with the algorithm as well. I'm changing up my schedule starting this week. So instead of doing the weekly videos, I'm going to be doing bi-weekly, because as I mentioned in my last video that is no longer surfaced on this channel, basically I went under burnout, and I feel it's because of the weekly commitment. And it's not because I don't like you guys. I love you guys. It's just for me not to burn out a second time. I'm just choosing for the foreseeable future to actually just chill out a little bit and just get my bearings in order. So every 2 weeks we'll be getting a video until I'm back on my feet and back on the horse to do weekly videos. So so stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for any future videos coming out. You can also follow me on my socials. I have my Instagram and my TikTok, my Facebook, and my Twitter. I'm very active on Instagram. I'm very active on Facebook. The other two, not so much anymore, but nonetheless, any comment or any new friend requests or any just follows on any one of the platforms is truly appreciated. And what more can I say for you guys? Basically, yeah, New Capenna season is coming. I'm back on YouTube, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, cheers everybody, and stay safe.